Hi, this is Daniel. You know what you're watching because you're on an Unrivaled Investing Journey subscriber. Today we are following up with Longview as well as Butterfly Network. It's going to be the same company. You can watch the YouTube video that I just posted about it. This is going to be one of several short exclusive videos just for you, the Journey subscriber. This one's about Longview, as I already mentioned, but the next one's going to be, I'm aiming for the next one to be about portfolio management, particularly the Kelly criterion, which is honestly, it's the key to optimal betting sizes. At least it's a framework which most investors have never heard of, but it's fundamentally the right way, or logically it's the right way to think about it. But that's just a tease. I will get fully into that in a future video. So this one I wanted to focus on Longview, and it's part of a broader theoretical conversation where it's a broader framework, theoretical framework, where it's a challenge between valuation and value proposition. And I used to have a focus just on cheap stocks, and that approach can work if you have a broad basket of cheap companies to own. But I think over time you're going to enjoy your investment career and potentially have more lucrative returns by focusing on these growth companies. What drives growth? That's value proposition, finding an unrivaled value proposition, and that can result in much better returns. And so the trick is finding those companies, and the really hard part is not overpaying, or at least recognizing that if you are overpaying, you might be in for a bumpy ride. And so this is my challenge when I look at this company is I see this as a company that has an unrivaled value proposition. I see doctors, there are videos online where doctors are like, wow, this technology blows me away. It is more affordable than the others. So you see things that make me think this is unrivaled in terms of the technology competes really well with other competitive solutions. It's opening up a market, so I can see lots of growth in the future. You watch the YouTube video for all that detail. But it's really difficult for me as an investor to balance valuation with value proposition and growth. That's a really tough balance, especially when you do an analysis like what I did here, where you're saying, look, in 5 years from now, one could easily pencil out down 70%. And who wants to put their money in something where you could be down 70% in 5 years? And so, when I think about this, I think, for my own personal portfolio, what I'm considering doing is, sort of biting the bullet on some of these companies. And that's part of the reason why I have so many of these tracker positions, where it might be 0.1 or 0.25 or 0.5%, is where I'm looking at something and I'm like, you know what, this company really does strike me as having a really strong value proposition, but I just don't know. I don't like the valuation, or there's a good chance that this just doesn't go right for the next few years. And in order for this to work out for me as a potential shareholder, it not only needs to keep, the valuation that it currently has, it needs to really execute on their growth. And so if you have a situation where it stays at a really rich valuation for 5 years, you should have a great return, because this is the type of company that looks like they're going to continue executing. They're growing super fast in 2020. So for me, what I'm considering doing this next week, when it starts trading again, it did have a really nice jump on Friday. What I'm considering doing is, just putting in a small position. It's something I'm thinking about doing. I'm sort of mulling it over. Put in, 0.1%. 0.2%, something like that. It becomes a tracker position. So if it falls 50%, I'm like, oh, okay, now I really want to buy a lot more, or something like that. But it's that's my personal approach, which is that it helps my portfolio align with these companies that I think really do have an unrivaled value proposition. And it helps me with stomaching the reality that, it could be down in 5 years from now, just because it is so richly valued, even if you do assume really, good growth and really attractive margins in the future. Keep in mind, management did not provide, any sort of margin, optimized or operating margin figure. This is my own guesstimate of what, for a comparable company, would look like. And part of this is based on looking at companies that I've either invested in currently or in the past, where it's like, oh, this is, this range of margins makes sense. But look, currently they're at negative gross margins. So Like this is a really big jump in the future. And once as I mentioned again, my next educational video is going to be about optimal position sizing and how you should think or consider, making investments for your portfolio, because me making 0.1%, that might not be exciting enough for you. Maybe you make 2%. You need to make your own trade-offs for what you think is the risk reward for your portfolio and what you want to do. And at the end of the day, I talk about this in each video, whether or not it's YouTube or Journey. But what's really important is that if you have any suggestions for improving Journey, I'd love to hear it. You can either leave it in a comment or reach out directly to me. I also have an email address. You can reach out to me, journey@unrivaledinvesting.com, because I want to hear how I can enhance my value proposition for you, a Journey subscriber. And next up, several Journey subscribers have asked me to look at Neo, I think that's how it's pronounced. So I haven't even looked at it yet. I want to look at it, and it's it's very high up on my queue. So that ideally should be the next YouTube video that I make. But I am going to have some exclusive videos just for you coming up this week. Thank you so much for being a Journey subscriber. Thank you so much for being part of this. You're making this journey richer for me, saying, hey, this is what I think makes this better, or take a look at this company. I think it's really interesting. Like, this journey is shaped by your influence. So whatever comments you have to share or thoughts, I love to hear it. It reinforces what I look at and how I think about things. So thank you very much for sharing this journey with me.